Hey guys, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm taking you along for the ride on a little practice session. So I actually have my tenor saxophone here. I am currently preparing for a tenor slash bari sax gig in late October. It's a little bit outside my comfort zone. I'm going to be doing some kind of bit more like jazz slash funk slash rock kind of saxophone playing, which is not my normal work. And I actually don't even have the charts yet. So what I'm trying to do at the moment is practice to improve and make sure my sight reading chops are ready, to make sure that my sound is good, my intonation is good, and my tone is a little edgier with a little bit more brightness and a little bit more bite to it. So that's the goal. I'm going to take you along for today's practice session. I think it's an interesting one because I don't actually have any specific repertoire to practice. So what I want to show you is how I develop my skills, how I maintain my technique, and how I prepare for a gig without actually having music for a gig. So I actually start every practice session with technique. And while I know logically how good long tones are for me, I feel bad admitting this. I hate them. I absolutely hate practicing long tones. I get so bored, and if I start a practice session with long tones, I can't keep practicing. My brain turns off. Like it's just a nightmare. So what I actually usually do is start with scales, something a little bit more active, something that I can sort of get into the routine of practice, and then I go back to scales. So a scale routine is really important to me, and it's pretty much the way I start every single practice session. I like to mix it up a little bit, but my most common go-to is interval scales. So I'll play all the major scales and sometimes the harmonic minors too, just regular up and down, and then working my way through scales in thirds, fourths, fifths, etc. I kind of hate scale in fourth. That's always my worst one, and I don't know why. But I was noticing a lot of tension today, and I've kind of been battling that in my tenor and a little bit in my alto practice at the moment. So I'm finding I'm getting all this unwanted tension through the throat and embouchure, and you'll hear in a minute where it really kicked in the scales and octaves. That's why it's great to do these intervals, because it doesn't let you hide your issues, and it brings it to the fore so you can fix it. Alrighty, so now it's time for some repertoire. And when I don't have the sheet music to play, I pull out your old faithfuls, Time for the Close-A book. I don't know why it made me laugh that much though. etudes and studies in lieu of actual repertoire or what I'm going to perform, I really like to break them down a little bit. In this case, I was being really deliberate and slow with my articulation and really challenging myself to get a lot more bite and crispness to my staccato. It's just a really quick and easy way for me to challenge myself and build technique in a way that isn't dependent on a specific piece of repertoire that I'm working on. And another one of my absolute favorite go-to books, and yes, I do have stickers on all my music with my name on it. All my students always ask me about that, but they're kind of the reason why I have to label all of my books with my name on it, because they always forget to give me my sheet music back. This piece was a really great opportunity in my practice session to really focus on tone, on getting a little bit more substance in the sound as I was playing through all the different articulations, and to just really jump around the instrument. The Bedard is a great piece. If you've watched the two-step violin video where I teach the boys saxophone, this was actually the really tricky piece where I made them learn a B major scale and give it a go. I just threw them straight into the deep end. So I really took my time with this one, and I really explored what the piece had to offer, all the while focusing on my technique. And at this point, I was really looking at, was I experiencing that same tension from the scales in the repertoire as well? Alrighty, one more quick little fast forward because I'm sure you don't want to hear lots of long notes. So by this point, I feel like you'd be really familiar with my practice style. I play something, I evaluate, and then I break it down, and I can spend a long time in that breakdown section. But I'm also prone to distractions while practicing, and one of the best distractions came along. Percy! The ultimate Jack Russell little best buddy. He's been used to me practicing since he was a puppy, and he actually loves to hang out with me. He doesn't bark or howl or anything. He actually just wants to be like the life of the party and will often like stick his little snout down the bell of the saxophone. As you've already heard, my home base as a musician is classical music. Like, I'm a classical saxophonist. First and foremost, that's where my ear is. So something like this Sonjali piece is just so natural and flowy for me to practice, and I really enjoy it. I love working on that long lyrical sound, particularly on tenor because it's the sax I play the least out of the four. But obviously I am preparing for a jazz gig, so without the charts, I know it is a little odd to be doing classical music for a jazz context, but my approach my entire career has always been just work on the fundamentals of playing your instrument and make sure you're a good reader, and anyone can put a chart in front of you and you are able to read it with really good rhythm, and you know, you'll be fine. And it's worked for me all these years, so I'm gonna stick with my strategy. So what I would then like to do as I wind down a practice session is to set myself some goals and some reflections that I can use for the next day. So after this practice session, the notes that I made myself were very centered on tone and reducing tension. That's literally my number one goal right now, is get rid of that throat tension. Alrighty guys, well, I hope you have enjoyed this video, just a little bit of an insight into how I practice. I'm really excited to maybe update this with a part 2 when I get the charts. This is a really unusual practice session for me. I pretty much always have the music that I'm going to be performing when I'm practicing. So at the moment, I'm just trying to reduce that tension and that tightness through the embouchure and the back of the throat that I talked about a little bit earlier. I'm just trying to add a little brightness to my tone, which again is unusual. Well, for me, it's unusual for me. So I hope you will like and subscribe and keep following along with my content, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.